right, it's week 7 and we're back. I'm Dr. Parcell and we're gonna look at number 4. All right, the number of hospitals in the 5 large hospital systems are shown here. All right, so these are the number of hospitals. So we have a system with 345 hospitals, a system with 71, 122, 260, and 152 hospitals. Okay, find range, mean, and your standard deviation. All right, mean, we're gonna go to 1 decimal place, and standard deviation, we're gonna go to 2 decimal places. Okay, so let's do the range first. So the range, you're gonna subtract your highest number and your lowest number. Okay, so make sure to pause the video, try to get ahead of me, and then check back and see how we're doing. First thing I would do is probably put these in order from least to greatest. So 71, since we're only talking about, what, 5 hospitals. 52. Okay, and 345. Okay, so to find the range, we're gonna do 345 minus 71. Okay, so our range is 274 hospitals. So the range is just the difference. That's what subtraction means. It's just the difference between the highest number of hospitals in that particular system and the lowest number of hospitals in that other particular system. Okay, so 345 minus 71, and we're good with 274. Okay, next, let's find the average number of hospitals. So to find the average, we're gonna add up these numbers. So 71 plus 122 plus 152 plus 260 plus 345, and we're gonna divide it by 5 hospitals. So if we add up the top, we're gonna get 950, and we're gonna divide that by 5 hospitals. So our average is 190 hospitals. Okay, so that's the average between, all of them. Remember, the mean takes into account all of the numbers, all the pieces of data. So this is your average or your mean. Now they ask us to round to 1 decimal place, but I don't think we have to worry about that because it came out nice and neat. Okay, standard deviation takes a little bit longer. I did one in a previous video, but I'm gonna do it again. So hopefully, we're gonna do it old school. Hopefully this will help you. All right, so we're gonna take each of these pieces of data and subtract away the mean. So remember, the mean, our X bar or our mean, was 190. Okay, so we're gonna find the difference between each of these hospital systems and the average hospital system. So 345 minus 190 is 155, and then we're gonna square that. And if you square that, you end up with 24,025 hospitals. Okay, the next one is 71. Now this is a smaller number of hospitals. It's below the average. Let's make sure we write this here. This is your average. And these are your data points here. So that we're gonna end up with something negative. So 71 minus 190, we're gonna end up with negative 119. But if we square that, we should end up with 14,161. Okay, the next data point was 122. That is also below average, so we're gonna end up with a negative number. So 122 minus 190 is negative 68. And if we square that, it's 4,624. All right, next data point, 260. Now 260 is above average, so we should end up with a positive difference, and that's 70. And if we square 70, we get 4,900. All right, last data point, 152 is below average. So we're gonna end up with a negative 38. And if we square that, we should get 1,444. Okay, so what we did is find the differences between each piece of data and the average, right? We're looking for deviation. How far away does data vary from the average? And then to standardize things, we square those differences, right? And that makes all of these positive. And then you're going to add these together. So we're going to sum up the squares. Sum the squares. So if we add these up, we're going to get 49,154. That's if we add them. Now we're going to divide this by n minus 1. In my last video, we just divided it by n. Remember, n is going to be the number of pieces of data. In this case, our n is 5. Because we're working with, this is standard deviation of a sample. So this is standard deviation of a sample. We're going to subtract by n minus 1. If you're doing standard deviation of a population, that's going to be different. That's when you just divide by n. So 49,154 divided by, so 5 minus 1 would be 4. And then that's going to give us 12,288.5. And that is your variance. This is your variance. Variance doesn't really tell us a whole bunch, but if we take the square root of the variance, that's going to give us our standard deviation. So the square root of 12,288.5, we want to round to 2 decimal places, is roughly 110.85 hospitals. Okay, so hopefully that helped us find our range, our mean, and our standard deviation. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Ta-ta for now.